was always my plan to get my twin boys on the bike around the time they turned 1. I just hope they like riding bikes as much as I do. Hello, I'm probably riding my bike. Yet another new bike day. It's getting out of hand. But I feel like I have quite a good reason for this one. I'm completing my full metamorphosis into cargo bike dad. Since my twin sons were born, I've always dreamed of taking them out on the bike. I've heard you can do it as early as 8 months, but I thought I'd wait for a year. Earlier than that just feels like it's too soon. It almost does at the moment too. But I'm ready to try. First I need to test this tank out on my daily commutes for a little while to check its capabilities. To be honest, I didn't really need this bike. I was imagining using any of my others as a dad bike. Any of them would be quite capable. I thought I might get something like this a little later on. I'd already picked up some front and rear seats for my regular bikes, to have one on the front and one on the back. But I've always been obsessed with sharing the ride with my kids, and that meant having them both up front. I was browsing on the cargo bike group on Reddit and I saw a guy had posted his cargo bike in Korea. You don't see them very often here. Nowadays you're seeing the occasional Omnium, but not usually something like this. The only other I'd really seen was a bullet bike parked outside of the Freitag shop in Gangnam. Anyway, I saw some person post their cargo bike on the Han River bike path. It was a fancy looking Riese Müller Load 75, and I just commented, awesome bike, you didn't see them often in Korea. And if you do, I imagine they get a lot of attention.
우리 애기 여기 타요. 상근이 있어요.
원래 이렇게 나온 거예요? 개조하신 거예요?
이렇게 나왔어요. 네.
오, 자전거 너무 좋은데.
재밌어요.
아니 너무 좋아요.
전화를 하세요.
Ajashis especially like them. Later on, after I messaged or commented on the Reddit post, the original poster private messaged me to ask if I was keen on buying his older cargo bike. I definitely was, but I had to broach the subject of getting a new bike to my wife first. Since I started this channel, I've had the privilege of gaining quite a few new bikes, some of them through my own money and some of them as gifts from some wonderful people. This one, even though it was second-hand, still wasn't cheap. So I told my wife about it and did all my research, watching videos and reading reviews and imagining myself riding around with my twin boys, having the best time. But I still wasn't sure if I could spend that kind of money on another new bike. And then one day, my wife just surprised me for my 40th and offered to buy it for me, which is insanely glorious and amazing. And now here I am with this tank, this absolute unit of a bicycle. This is the Riese Müller Transporter 65, the entry level of Riese Müller bikes apparently. I'm on my way to work, so I don't actually have a full time for a bike check. That'll be later in the video. But I had to stop by these azaleas because they remind me of the time when my boys were born. They weren't always my favourite spring flower. They seemed kind of too saturated and bright after the lovely tones and pastel colours of the cherry blossoms. But they've quickly become my favourite. This time last year, on the amazing day that my twins were born, Sol was just covered in azaleas and the hospital was surrounded by them. So now they hold a special place in my heart, and these flowers will always remind me of that time. It doesn't feel that long ago since I was posting the 100 days celebration video. I was talking about the ups and downs of being a new dad. And now I'm being a cliche dad by talking about how quickly the time goes and how quickly they grow. But it's true. Everyone says it because it's true. Even though it was hard, you miss the old times, but enjoy the present even more. A lot of things get easier, but some new challenges come along too. Everyone says it gets easier after a year. We'll see. It definitely gets more fun, as seeing their development is so exciting, and their personalities develop and their interests. It's fascinating to see them turn into proper little humans with a lovely sense of humour and sense of fun. Everything in the world seems so exciting to them. They definitely help you appreciate the small things even more than I already did. And they're helping me appreciate the small things too, by being able to sleep almost the whole night. That definitely helps. I think now is about a good time for an actual bike check. Here it is. The Riese Müller Transport 65, or Transporter 65. It's their entry-level electric front-loading cargo bike. It's basically the opposite of a Rivendell, vastly different to my other bikes. I wasn't planning on getting an electric bike, but this one was too good to pass, and a lot of other cargo dads out there thoroughly recommended getting an electric bike. I'll appreciate it later when they're bigger. Look at this little door that opens. I can imagine my sons opening this up and climbing in themselves. The front cargo load takes up to 100 kilograms apparently, so it can take a fully grown adult or a couple of kids. I really want to try it out with another adult, so let me know if you're keen on getting a ride sometime in Seoul. It's a thoroughly German practical bike. It doesn't quite feel like mine yet. I still feel like I'm riding someone else's. The suspension seat post and cushy saddle aren't my style. I'll have to swap them out sometime. But I have added my own touch with my Swift Industries panniers, my favourite bags. Here's the Bosch Performance Line motor with the belt drive and two 500 watt batteries with the Enviolo Smart hub at the back, which shifts for you based on your cadence. It took a bit of getting used to after riding around on bikes with friction shifting. The big selling point for me was the padded seats with the seat belts. We're not in Amsterdam or Copenhagen, so any added layer of protection is useful and appreciated. There's a little footwell for extra storage or for longer legs as the kids grow. And you can choose the strength of your battery as well, how much assistance you need. Seoul weather can be quite brutal across the 4 seasons, so the canopy will be quite valuable for the kids. To cover them in winter or from the summer sun and from the rain as well. You can take it off easily enough and fold up the sides for some extra fresh air. The handlebars and seat are easily adjustable for different height riders too. This is in its storage mode. It's a beautifully engineered bike, incredibly practical, but currently a little bit boring. It doesn't feel like mine. I'm thinking about what parts I want to swap out to make it mine. Any suggestions? What would you change up? I want to keep its efficiency and practicality, but I just want to make it a bit more exciting with a bit of soul and character, a bit of colour. Maybe reupholster the seats with some Harris tweed or something. Certainly some kind of leather saddle without that horrible suspension seat post, which makes you feel like you've got a flat tyre. It's a very different bike, which gives me the same kind of joy and happiness other bikes do. I think I was listening to some early Jamiroquai during this ride. On these commutes I do feel like I'm cheating a bit with the electric assist, although it does top out at 25 kilometers an hour and then you're pedalling on your own. I'm excited to try it out with fully loaded with 2 kids and all their stuff, riding up the steep hills in Seoul. It's Friday and I'm on my way home from work. This weekend we plan to take our almost 1-year-old boys out for their first ride. The inaugural ride. I'm a bit nervous, but very excited. Today's the big day. I park my bike in the motorbike parking because there's no space in the bike parking area, the bicycle parking area. My neighbours must think it's a very strange looking motorbike. It's a strange looking bicycle, to be honest. We've planned a very short ride just to the nearest park, and my wife's going to follow nearby with the buggy.
Hi boys.
I don't want to bite off more than I can chew,
가볼까?
and I don't want them to hate riding bikes either, so we'll keep it short and sweet.
멋있지? 멋있지? 누구 먼저? 타고 싶은 사람?
I've sat them in the bike before and they quite enjoyed it. But the big challenge is getting these helmets on their heads. Osmo Helmets kindly sent these over for us. They're specifically designed for little kids riding on cargo bikes. I feel much better with this extra level of safety. I've just got to convince the little ones to wear them. Our plan was to distract them with snacks, and I knew they would start crying, but I knew they would be fine once we started moving. So we got to be quick.
가보자. See if they like it. Whoa. Whoa.
I love how their faces changed as soon as we started moving.
I'm gonna do it till
I could tell they were a little bit scared, but I could also tell they were kind of enjoying it. It must feel very strange after being walked around in a buggy and moving on to this unit of a bike. And I was very careful with my most precious cargo I've ever ridden with.
come back around again.
Soon enough I'll be taking them out by myself. But for now I need my wife for moral support for the babies and for me. And we're off on our first quest together on the bike. I think in the future most of our adventurising will be along the Han River, stopping off at all the different play parks and any cafes that are nearby, not far off the river path. Today is just a neighbourhood adventure. I'll have to get used to the attention. I'm already getting used to the attention of having identical twin kids, who are obviously mixed race, who happen to be adorably cute. It's all positive attention anyway, and I like that people seem genuinely happy to see them. And then the added layer of this giant cargo bike will definitely get a lot of glances. I hope I can encourage more people to ride bikes like this around Seoul, and then maybe the infrastructure will be improved, or people will push towards some improvement for that. We'll see. I'll be sticking to the quieter roads and the sidewalks and the bike paths. This for me felt like a very short ride, but for the little ones it was probably the biggest adventure of their lives, one of them. And it was all over before I knew it, and we put them in the buggy or the stroller or the Kinderwagen to walk back home. I was so proud of how they did on this little ride. Over the next few weeks I'll gradually increase the distance so we can go on some full-on adventures.
Bye, boys. Bye, boys.
I'll be sharing them on here. It won't only be dad bike content, by the way, but I am excited to share some of the dad bike adventures. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. See you later.